In my next video, if you see that I have a really tight buzz cut, that's because the haircut that I'm about to give myself after this video did not go so well. Hey cycling community, this is Steve Bruce's The Cycling Greek. One of the things that interests me during these times are the pre-existing conditions behind COVID deaths. Now that some time has gone by, data has been gathered and categorized, and it's starting to point to some interesting items. So let's take a look at the screen. This is from a hospital in the US. There's only 85 deaths, which is a small sample size. But we look at the big three items. You have diabetes, kidney disease, and obesity. Then in the middle section, you'll have cardiac and pulmonary. And pulmonary was quite interesting, lung problems, because of all the everything that you hear in the news with the potential scarring, with the ventilators. You would think that pulmonary would play a much bigger role in this. But it doesn't. And it doesn't in a subsequent study I'll also be showing you. What's also interesting to note is that 5% of the people that had died did not have any underlying conditions at all. So out of the 85, that's probably something like 4 people. The next set of data I gathered was from Italy's National Institute of Health. Now this was done a week before the hospital data. This was done on the 17th, so at the end of the day on the 17th, they had 2,500 deaths, a little over that. If they gathered the data the day before, then they had a little under 2,200 deaths. And if it was the day before that, then maybe around 2,000 deaths. They stated that 99% of the people that died there had at least one pre-existing condition, which means that 1% didn't, and compared to the smaller sample size of 5% for the hospitals that had no pre-existing conditions. So that, in my mind, pretty much falls in line. They also stated that 50% of the people had 3 pre-existing conditions. So let's look at their data. The categorizations that the NIH uses is slightly different than the ones that the hospital uses. The one that really stands out is the one at the top, 76% for high blood pressure. Hypertension seems to have quite a presence with these deaths. When you look down the line now with diabetes at 35.5%, that pretty much falls in line with the 41% that the hospital had. Now, heart disease plays a bigger role with these deaths, and since this is a larger sample size, then I tend to go with this one here. Now, the one that really stands out is atrial fibrillation. So those of you that are familiar with my channel, you know that this one is near and dear to my heart. I would imagine that that those with AFib that had died probably had ongoing AFib or a predominance of AFib. Where in my case, at least I'm hoping that's the case, where in my case, I haven't had an AFib incident in 18 months. And I attribute that to lifestyle changes and to dietary changes. Okay, so going down the line here, kidney disease seems to be somewhat in line with what the hospital showed, and 13.2% for lung problems. That's pretty much in line with what the hospital showed. Again, that's a surprise. Whoa, where did this shirt come from? Actually, I took a break and got on the bike. I did 2.5 hours of a specific climbing workout, and I'm back at it. What this data doesn't show us has anything to do with age. Of course, if you're significantly older and all things being equal, you're going to have less resources available to fight the virus and to heal. So sticking with what we have here, what does this tell you? Or at least what does this indicate to you? For me, it tells me that a healthier lifestyle means you're going to have a much better time dealing with this virus. Now, of course, there could be an argument made for genetic predisposition, but being predisposed to something doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get it. In my case, I have a couple of genetic markers that indicate that I have a propensity for arterial sclerosis. So, I do things to stay away from getting arterial sclerosis. And I do that by keeping my LDLs and my inflammation down through my diet, through my predominantly plant-based diet, and a lot of exercise, of course. At this point, you're probably telling yourself, hey, I'm in one of these categories, I'm close to one of these categories, the virus is here now. If I make that big change in lifestyle and diet, am I going to get immediate results? Well, maybe not immediate results, but you'll start to feel better. One of the common thoughts is that this virus is going to die off in the summer and then come back in the fall again. So if that happens and you stuck with a healthier lifestyle, then you'll be in a little better position. If you're a person that hasn't been consuming a lot of plants in their life, more than likely you haven't been taking a lot of phytonutrients nor the specific antioxidants needed to fight each of these infirmities. A good book to understand how diet affects each of these categories and many other infirmities is Dr. Greger's book, How Not to Die. I'll have it linked in the description below. Whether you agree with what I've been saying or not, If you found this video interesting, please give it a like. Then comment below your thoughts. During these trying times, we want to do what we can. And for me, that includes lifestyle and diet. As always, comment, like, subscribe, and hit that little bell to get notified of my next video. I usually put out about one a week. The Cycling Greek.